our outlay on food ingredients as a country increased to $133 million. And some of the food ingredients are, by the way, that was a 48%, so almost 50% increase from 2022 to 2023. Food ingredients, right? So we're talking about additives, wheat flour, spices, bakery goods, food coloring. Now, the report then said that the reason Ghana keeps importing food ingredients is because of our underdeveloped food processing sector. Food processing sector, which struggles to meet the rising demand for locally produced food ingredients. So Ghana's population is growing. People are eating more. COVID-19, a lot of things were not planned. People were eating. There's nobody who stopped eating when COVID came. So feed yourself is a mantra. But we don't only eat raw vegetables. We eat processed food. So if you're let's assume you're baking bread. You need flour. You need certain things to put in, like margarine. The point is, we are spending more money importing food. So what I'm trying to say is that beyond increasing agriculture, we need to develop our food processing sector. Because whether you're producing bread, you're cooking jollof, or you're even imagine if you're cooking jollof, right? You still need ingredients to prepare the jollof. And these are value-added ingredients that make cooking easier. All right? So that's fine. I'm not even going to go to the health. I'm not having a health discussion. But the fact that the report says that our food processing sector is underdeveloped is a pain for me. Because when will you start manufacturing cars if you can't even produce food ingredients? Which is easier? You get my line? If you cannot add value to agric to make people earn more money from the basic things they produce. Can you produce a microchip? Can you produce a phone? Can you produce a car? Can you produce you get it? Basic thing like food processing, the sectors are dying. We need to remind this government that there are some priorities they have to focus on. The priorities, agric and value addition to agric. Most people I speak to say, oh, Charlie, we are waiting I think most people think from October or from September, they will adopt a wait and see attitude to some new investments in Ghana because of election. Okay. So what election does is election affects investment decisions. So if I'm coming to start a new company, sometimes you want to see how the election will go before you invest, especially if your product is politically exposed. Yeah. All right. But thinking should not be suspended because of elections. Do you understand? Thinking, so somebody can suspend an investment because of election, but as a society, we shouldn't suspend thinking because of elections. We shouldn't forget the main issues that we need to solve, because the world is not waiting for you because you are voting. So if your food processing sector is underdeveloped, which is why I said yesterday that we can only to an extent say that this is politics. The fact that it's politics does not mean it should not be true.
Yeah.
So you can't say, oh, it's politics.
So it's exempt.
The fact that it's politics does not mean it's acceptable. That's how they've been doing it, but that's not how they should do it. Yeah. You get it? Because even if you go on a political platform, you should speak the truth. You should be respectful. You should also reflect reality. Because the reality people are facing is that 100 of your timber companies, only 25 are left. Elections or not. You get it? Your food processing sector is going down, elections or not. So the fact that you are voting doesn't mean everybody will say, okay, Ghana from July to December 2024, they are voting, so let's wait for them. People are going to WTO. People are making rules. When you go to WTO, people are always looking for advantage. 3 issues. Domestic support for agriculture, export competitiveness, market access. These matters are big matters. The fact that we are voting doesn't mean that countries are not maneuvering to make sure that their markets
get advantage
and we don't. So I think we should not say it's because they are doing elections. In fact, elections should make us actually put them to strict proof on what they say and get them to actually deal with the real issues. Because if your food processing sector is struggling, your timber export companies, only 25% of them are left. Your fish stocks are dwindling, and by 2030, you will face fish malnutrition. We can't do business as usual and say because we have elections. Elections are expensive, so elections have many negative effects. Fine, we have to vote. It affects investment decisions. Allocation of resources into productive sectors reduces because people are investing in winning power or remaining in power. Even decisions on resource allocations are not optimal. So you have $280 million to do transportation. You will use it to build roads in places that you think you can win, which may not be places that are viable or places that you can even toll to make money back. Yeah. So elections become a drain, forgetting about the fact that there are illicit financial flows in elections, and the kind of money coming in is not even being properly accounted for. So it corrupts the system too. So you have people who are criminals from different parts of the world coming to look for ways of gaining advantage by sponsoring politicians to come into office and then demanding favors from them. So in a sense, you're having it's a time of corruption.
Compromise.
Meanwhile, the world is still rotating. People are making decisions. So if I would say, let's use the elections to get people to focus on the real issues. Okay? To focus on the real issues. And some of the issues have been highlighted in our newspapers today. So I'll come to the big story you want to discuss, but I just want to remind Ghanaians that let's not suspend our brains because of elections. Okay? Let's not suspend thinking, and let's not excuse misbehavior because of elections and politics. Because if you excuse bad behavior because that's politics, it will translate into governance. Because my argument is that bad politics leads to bad governance. If your politics is dishonest, your governance cannot be honest. If the system that brings you to power is corrupt, you cannot do you understand? If you have to bribe delegates to vote for you, what sensible thing can you come and do? You can't. So let's not excuse misbehavior in the name of politics. Let's have decorum. I was having a reflection today. Have you ever seen a chief shouting before?
Hardly.
A chief of any ethnic group in Ghana shouting. Don't they get angry?
They do.
Why do you think our elders give them linguists? Because a word of a chief is very powerful. So they want to be sure that what comes out is refined. And they also have the sense to know that one man cannot contain all wisdom. When I listen to the Otunfo talking, listen to the way the linguist, and you know this better than I do. The linguist contextualizes, elaborates, and sometimes even edits based on his knowledge of what the chief originally wanted to say when they met in the chamber. So we don't have linguists because chiefs can't talk for themselves. We have linguists because traditionally we believe that kings must speak with decorum. Do you get what I'm saying?
Sure.
So when Otunfo speaks or any chief speaks, so linguists are highly trained, highly respected. Highly. And the chief doesn't say, and the linguist doesn't sit on a palanquin, you know. But when the words of a chief comes out, because we believe that to rule, you must know how to talk. And I think the MPP have to seriously look at their running mate and speak to him. Because you cannot come out of the chief's palace and make certain comments and expect us to clap for you in the name of politics. No. Because president is also leadership. Vice president is leadership. And the leader must know how to speak. He has to take a cue from the Otunfo. Don't justify it. And people in the MPP must talk to him. That no, you cannot. No. You want to be president of Ghana? No. There's a way you have to talk. Because we in Ghana, talking is important to us. That's why we all have linguists. I even argue that the way we've structured our politics, I've said this many times, we have not resolved the tension between some of our traditional practices and the demands of a political system. I give you 2 examples. Our traditional system is based on consensus building. So conflict resolution, me and Sky can have a major issue over land. We will make our case before the chief. His decision is either final or I can appeal it. But I don't go to the chief's palace and be shouting at Sky. They'll say, I'm angry with Sky. I can shout to Sky in my house. When we enter the chief's palace, the rules of court mean that I have to even get someone to talk for me. Because maybe me, I don't even know how to talk. When the chief sits in state to listen to me, now compare that to our parliament. There's a tension there. Because our parliament is built on the so-called adversarial system. Listen to the way they shout. And so as a people, development means you have to resolve the tensions between your practices, your values, your mores. Somebody has to come up with new rules, even standing orders that reflect the way we do things.
Yeah.
Because I don't go to a chief's palace and hear majority that shouting, minority that banging table. No traditional area, even the smallest, would that ever be permitted. Ever. But we say we've gone to school and we've gone to take the white man's method. And we say it's adversarial. So we've gone to Westminster to have a PhD. And you go to parliament and somebody is speaking and somebody is shouting from the back. They say they are backbenchers. So that's number 1. That tells you that there's a tension between what we are trying to practice and how we live. Number 2, chiefs don't shout. That doesn't mean they don't get angry. Leadership. So even the campaigns we do, it's funny. Right? Well, we say we are doing politics, so this shouting, Joe boy. Joe boy is usually mass mobilization people. So usually the labor unions, the service forces to morale for people to do the thing. Or yes, they can protest. But political communication and shouting and insulting is not really what we are made of. But we've adopted it and we've created this culture where anything said on a platform is allowable because it's politics. No, we have to reject that. So maybe this Napo will help us beyond Napo himself. That we are tired though. It's not. We don't need shout. We need ideas. We don't need shout. We need credibility. So don't come and shout. Fine, you are speaking to your foot soldiers, but what does the shouting do for us? What is the benefit of that shout? What is the benefit of it? So let's not excuse talking down to people and disrespect and say he was doing politics. No, it's wrong. And let him not justify it by saying that we didn't understand him. We are not fools. We listened to you. We all saw what you said. We heard you. Now, if you speak and we have to now think 10 times to understand you, then means the problem is you, not us. So don't come and tell us that you spoke the truth and we misunderstood you. No. What you do is to say, look, Mankani, didn't you hear Akufo-Addo? Akufo-Addo went somewhere, the president of Ghana. He was speaking and he made a mistake. What did he do? He apologized there and then. Because he realized that the weight of what he said was wrong. Adunya. So don't go and now say, we heard you speak in a way that was not presidential. So what you need to do, and what the elders of NPP need to do, is to say no. That's if they don't endorse it, unless they endorse what he's doing. Because we have to, you see, development is also value-based.
Yep.
Respect, truth, honesty. So let's not excuse it and say it's politics. Well, it's been politics, and politicians have spoken like that, and we've condemned it. Politicians have said things that we've said, no, they shouldn't talk like that. So, where we are now, we should not excuse said behavior. No. So don't come and tell us that when you speak the truth, you are labeled disrespectful. What you said was wrong. The way you said it was wrong. If for nothing at all, Nkrumah is an elder. If for nothing at all, okay, he's an elder. So if you take Ghana as a continuum of time, the elders, why isn't he an ancestor?
Yes.
Why? Traditionally.
An ascended spirit.
Yes, he's an ancestor. So Do you speak to your ancestors like that? Or about them like that? No. And what's the point of even comparing a current president to a dead one? What does that achieve? In the name of whipping? No. If we are demanding better governance, it must start from better politics. That's my argument. You cannot have good governance from a flawed political system. That's why they talk about financing politics. That's why they talk about transparency and expanding electoral courage. It must also include political communication. Because if you campaign arrogantly, you govern arrogantly. So let nobody be deceived. The MPP flag bearer needs to come again. He needs to speak in a way that is becoming of somebody who can become the vice president of a country. It's a very high office. Many of us who are not in politics, when you become a political leader, we defer to you. I was at Burma camp doing a program, or someplace, last 1st July. The Minister of Defense is a civilian.
The KRPC.
No, the other one.
Kofi Annan.
No, they call it the Ghana Armed Staff
College.
I was observing
GAFSI, the Ghana Armed Forces
observing
Staff College.
They were arranging people to sit in the green room before we go and sit down. And the commandant said, this seat is for the Minister of Defense. So nobody will sit there until he comes. Most of these guys are older than him. Possibly more experienced than him. And possibly more accomplished. When he comes, everybody stood up and we made him sit down and then we started talking. Then the decorum and the respect. Why? Because we've all agreed that you've won elections, you are the Minister of Defense, and therefore we respect you. So politicians need to know that there are many professionals who can also do politics but don't do it. So it's a high office. And that's such a high office means that there are people who are professors. But you can have a minister who is just a first degree holder. When Black was Deputy Minister of Education, I don't think that had a master's degree, but there were professors who were VCs.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't conduct himself as a politician well, he may be in that position, but it will even be. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the political office, we've created a system where we elevate political power. So the people who have the power must behave in a way that merits the respect we've all given them. Winning elections doesn't mean you have sense than everybody. Or running for election doesn't mean you all of a sudden understand leadership better than people who have run companies for years. It's because of the system we've created. So you won election, so you are minister. Respect yourself and respect us. Don't think that because you won election, it means that all wisdom dwells in you. No. No. Our traditional system. That's why the chief has a council. And the chief is the embodiment of the people. He sits on that stool to represent all that we have gone through. But even he listens to counsel before he talks. And when he talks, somebody polishes it. Because when the chief's word fall on the ground, it's like egg. You can't bring it back together. That's what tradition teaches us. We have to think deeply about the system we are running and say, is this politics how Ghana, how can you develop? When traditionally you have a way, and I'm not saying that our traditional system was perfect, but it's what we are. I have not seen a chief eating in public before. It's not because eating is a sin. We are denigrating many things these days. Right? And I want to urge us to. This is the time for thinking. Let's not suspend thinking and say it's politics. It's not. If we suspend thinking and claim it's politics, we are doing wrong. No. Let's and you know today we're saying Joe Biden. Somebody should talk to him. Somebody needs to talk to NPP running mate. Say no. Now you are the running mate of NPP. You can't do that. If you have to get somebody to write your scripts for you. If you are provoked, I'll tell you one last thing. Francis Poku, he gave a lecture and I was privileged to the moderator. 1st July. He served 7 governments. He's 83 years old. So I'll take what he says. He said, when he became National Security Coordinator, and this is the last thing I'll say, he got a call from Captain Kojochi Carter, who was, you can say, his rival. Because Kojochi Carter was the intelligence strength of Rawlings. And Francis Poku is now the intelligence of Kufuor in a difficult time for Ghana. He said, Kojochi Carter said, don't be provoked. Wow. He said, that's what Kojochi Carter told him. Don't be provoked. Because your position is a very high position.
build a lot of power.
Don't be provoked. And of all the things he came to say to us, that's what I remembered. He said, don't be provoked. That's what Francis Poku said publicly to us about what Kojuti Carter told him. Don't be provoked easily. A word to the wise is enough.
Good morning, Bernard. You've said it all. If you campaign arrogantly, you will govern arrogantly. Bernard after 2024. Lambert in Dodowa. Mr. Fifi Buafo has a very difficult job on his hands. He had the opportunity to just apologize and move on. Listening to him on Eyewitness News yesterday was sad. Deep respect, Studio 2, for Napo did not exercise emotional intelligence at all. Tragedy. Florence from Tishinungwara states, we, respectful Ghanaians, hold our Kwame Nkrumah in high esteem. He has done great work for Ghana, Africa, and the world. Matthew Opoku Prempe, doctor, should continue in his pride. Sampa, very sad. Nana from New Drabbing. Bernard and Team A, good morning. Bernard, you have spoken well. Gbawe Jani, Julius from Dansoman. Arrogant politics begets arrogant leadership. Bernard, your analysis is on point. Even politicians who came to beg us have mafiaed us and turned into Yentiobia government. Imagine how overtly arrogant ones will treat the average Ghanaians. Irabna from Spain, Texas, wondering. Napo is said to have sounded very condescending in his comment about Kwame Nkrumah. That may have come from his personal disdain for the man, but we insist it's not right. In his attempt to right the wrong, he rather doubles down in front of a chief. He creates the impression that he simply spoke the truth and people didn't like it. Not only is that insulting to our intelligence, it just accentuates and affirms the impression that he is arrogant.
Well, let's hear the man himself. So yesterday he spoke at a meeting with Tetrete Okwamwa Sechim, the second Omahini of Wasam Mfi, traditional area at Wasekropon. I still insist Wasekropon is in the western region, but somebody says in the western north region. But we'll clarify that. But basically, that's where he was. Here is Napo speaking.
Politicians, Yaman yourself, no, I am fee 9. Na another down clock for do. Moktanechi. Ama, do bit me, I be away or Ghana. Empo, if Okaya, say Ajima Noesibone. You say, if it's say Ghana, 1957, by from Kwame Nkrumah. Ebekane. A bench in your way, Juma saying another dunker for Naja. What is what? I'm on yourself, I Nana. Who can cry as well in Sadia? Who can try near Busamo? Mobanemi, Munanami, one fan throw, and they see me.
So yeah, that was Napo speaking yesterday in front of the chief of Wasam Mfi. Let's hear his spokesperson now speaking on Eyewitness News.
To put out.
Well, Dr. Prempe said two things today. What he said was that the interpretation that has been put to the statement he made is inaccurate. However, he holds the position that the Akufo-Addo government has performed better than any other government we've seen in our country. So that's what he said.
Okay, so that doesn't really depart from what has been said. So he said that Akufo-Addo has done better than Kwame Nkrumah. That is a position.
Yeah, that is his position.
Based on what? What was the yardstick for measuring? What did he use? What touchstone?
So, Sandra, Dr. Prempe is a member of the New Patriotic Party. He has served as Minister for Education for 4 years. He is currently the Minister for Energy. This is a man who is part of the government. He has assessed what the government has done for the country. There are those who have also experienced other governments. They also hold a contrary view to his position, and they have every right to do so. What he said is his position, and he is not imposing it on any other person. And I believe that every other person, we all have our rights. We all have the opportunity to express our views. Yes, we consider the fact that our former president, our first president, the struggles he went through, the fact that he contributed to independence, it had nothing to do with the struggle for independence. He was basically talking about the performance of a government compared to another government's performance. Indeed, if you listen to the entire speech by Dr. Prempeh, the target was mainly about the NDC and the political opponent going into the next election. But of course, a lot of us believe that Nkrumah did so much for the country. And he says that if you want to compare, then the comparison is not with the others, but the comparison is with Nkrumah, and he holds the position that Akufo-Addo's government has done better than Nkrumah's government. It is fair for anybody to also hold the contrary view. But then, I think that as an individual, he's also entitled to share a position. You may agree or disagree with him.
So it's a view that is not necessarily factual that he shared yesterday.
You know what? It is a subjective view. Assessment of a government is one that it depends on who is doing the assessment and based on which metrics the person is using.
Yes, so that's what I was asking. What metrics did he use? So what sector did he? Because when you compare with NDC, usually do sector by sector. So what is the yardstick for this particular measure?
Of the performance of the Akufo-Addo administration. At least he has said as the Minister of Education. Yesterday, he enumerated a number of the things he was able to achieve as Minister of Education for our country. On the same platform, you heard Dr. Bawumia, the flag bearer of the party, talking about the things that have been done by the government. You heard President Akufo-Addo talking about the things he's achieved as president of our country. Sandra, you know, it is not an imposition that, you know what, the fact that Napo has said it means that he's forcing it down your throat. He holds strong view on that yes, the government has done well. If you hold a contrary view, you are free to also advance an argument to say that, no, I disagree with your point, and this is the reason why I disagree with your point. But the sad thing is that now people are not ready to offer contrary position backed by evidence to say that, well, we believe that Nkrumah did A, B, C, D, for which reason we believe that Nkrumah did better than Akufo-Addo.
Yes.
Rather, it is about the fact that, no, it's Nkrumah. Don't mention Nkrumah's name. I've even had a statement by some persons who says they are members of the CPP, they have the right to do so, but they are saying that just the fact that he has mentioned Nkrumah's name, it's a crime. I do not believe that is a crime. And that's the more reason why Dr. Prempeh was making the point that, well, he doesn't feel intimidated to the effect that he cannot even express a view. If you disagree with him, yes, you can adduce evidence to that effect, but do not say that you cannot have a position, you cannot have an opinion. So what is the point in serving in a government when you cannot defend the government?
Very well.
The man has served in the government. He is putting out information which he believes that based on this information, I believe that our government has done better. If we are to go by the argument that we are hearing today, then it means that every other government should know that no matter what you do, it will not get to the level of Nkrumah. I thought we were striving for better things. I thought we seek to do better than we've done in the past. So if the argument today is that do not say anything or do not even do what can be compared to Nkrumah, then are we retrogressing or we are progressing?
So that was Fifi Boafo speaking to Umaru Sanda Amadu, attempting to, explain, justify, contextualize, not sure what adjective to use, what he was doing, but he was explaining. Now, let's tell you a story before we come to this full discussion. A hard-working baker makes the tastiest pastries. For years, she's had only one shop. But today, we saw that she's upgraded to deliveries, all because after a conversation with Absa, she got a collateral-free loan of up to 500,000 cedis with a 10% annual interest rate. That's the best rate on the market, 10% per annum. So for budding entrepreneurs seeking the next chapter in their stories, visit an Absa branch to speak to someone to help guide you on your journey. Because at Absa, your story matters. All right, so let me just put back what he said. So because a couple of things. There's even a seeming contradiction between what the man is saying and what his spokesperson is saying. All right. So listen to what he said after he spoke at the... so this is yesterday.
Politicians, yaman yourself no, I am fee 9. Na another down Akufo-Addo. Mokanechi. ama the obetimi ayi bia waye wo Ghana ha empo iko kanya ze adwuma no asibone say free say Ghana 1957 by from Kwame Nkrumah ebe kane abempie ni waye adwuma chain another don't go for na aja o ti so Akwese amanyosep na ye no nana o kan kra yeso wali so ade utwa ntra ni abusi ama mo bane me mo nana ne me mo amfa ntro ene ehun ne shemi mu.
All right, so that was the man yesterday. He spoke at the Wassa Ekropong Manhinis court. Prior to that, Fifi Boafo spoke to Marisanda Amadou. Sky, so I don't know. You read something from Sophocles or something. Something. Sophocles.
Yeah, that's right. So he says, and let me just repeat that, Bernard. He says, quote, all men make mistakes, but the good man yields when he knows his course is wrong and repairs the evil. The only crime is pride, unquote. Now, Bernard, first of all, let me prefix my submission with an apology.
Oh, how?
Oh, no, I'll render the apology because I'm not a native. That's the premise of my apology. I'm not a native speaker of.
So what are you apologizing to?
Let me.
Your problem yesterday that you didn't understand.
No, not at all. There was a suggestion in the Honorable Dr. Matthew Okukurekpe's submission that we have mischaracterized. We have misunderstood as a people of Ghana what he had said at the MPP rally. I operated and spoke so passionately yesterday on the basis of the interpretation that native speakers of Akan had told me. Now, if that understanding is wrong, then I apologize to him.
Oh.
No, hold on. No, allow me to make my submission. If that characterization is wrong, then I apologize to him. But let me now proceed to deal with what he said, even what he said yesterday, and assuming that what he said is correct. Look, let us be honest with ourselves. There is no way the MPP as a party in government now can say that it has outperformed all governments, including Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's government. It is an absolute fallacy. And he, the Honorable Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, should not repeat that. It is an insult to the good people of Ghana for him to be presiding over a sector overly dominated by the achievements of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, to stand on a political platform and assert, and before achieve, that the government of the NPP, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, outperforms Kwame Nkrumah in many areas. Look at it. The Akosombo Dam, which was opened under his reign as Minister for Energy, which caused so many people to lose their homes, their jobs, their businesses, their livelihoods, because someone did not manage the opening of the floodgates properly as to destroy people's livelihoods. He was the minister at the time. That facility was built by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Without that facility, Ghana would not be where it is today. After 7 to 8 years in power, the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo cannot say that it has established any capacity beyond what Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. What is the average capacity of the Akosombo Dam presently? In excess of 1,000 megawatts of power. How much has the MPP administration added in terms of power output? The best they have done recently is to relocate a barge that had been brought into the country by a former administration, not the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. They've taken it to Kumasi. He is the minister for that sector. So if you make a statement that is not supported by the facts, walk the statement back. That is what you do. I'm not dealing with him on the basis of what he said at the political, what he said yesterday, that in terms of hard working, the facts don't support it. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah led the struggle for independence in Ghana. He was put behind bars. He eventually came out to rescue our nation from colonial rule. The colonialists were depleting our resources, taking them away, and using it to build their countries. And after attaining independence for us, he said that that was not just it. We needed to build the capacity of the Ghanaian people to be able to govern themselves in a way as to make it possible for us to compete with the rest of the world. So he started with building schools, from universities right down to secondary schools. He built for us, hospital facilities. He built industry, expanded existing ports in some cases. Accra Temamoto to open up the port of Tema.
The schools, KNUST.
Where Dr. Prempeh went to school. Kwame Nkrumah built that school. He gave the black man an identity that till today is leading us to many areas of liberation. In other words, but for Kwame Nkrumah, if you listen to some of the things that Barack Obama himself said about the struggle to ensure that the black man was capable of managing, and if you like, mismanaging his own affairs, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah started it in the eyes of many people in Africa. Of course, there were people before him, and he celebrates those people, the likes of Marcus Garvey. Nkrumah did something far beyond the shores of Ghana. He said, making Ghana alone independent is not enough. So while he could have kept the resources of this country and said, let's just pump it into only Ghanaians, he said, no, in some cases, let me give it to fellow Africans who are still in bondage. Let me inspire them. He brought people from across the whole of Africa to come and learn at the Kwame Nkrumah Ideological Institute in Winneba. The likes of Mugabe. Of course, later years he did certain things which are not acceptable. But the inspiration that Dr. Kwame Nkrumah provided led to the liberation of the black race in many respects. And he is still remembered, celebrated so many years after he's died. So when a man of that stature, which even foreign leaders who are great in their own right celebrate, when that man is exalted, he is exalted because he is a man who has achieved something worthy of celebration. I'm not saying that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the president, hasn't achieved anything. You can express an opinion, but if that opinion is not founded on facts, you are misinforming the people. And you should not repeat it in a way as to suggest that the people don't know anything. The people have a certain level of appreciation of what you have said.
But
you have gotten it wrong.
Beyond that, he even now goes ahead to make it appear as though those who are criticizing him rather love falsehood, and it is when you speak the truth that people criticize you, which I find quite...
With the greatest respect, that you did not speak the truth.
But there are so many problems on that, because even the fact that people were applauding when he said it.
Oh, you would expect some party people to do that. And you see, he's making the job very difficult for those who are to go out there and defend the cause of the NPP. Look, the election of 2004 is not about Kwame Nkrumah.
2004.
2024. It's not about Kwame Nkrumah. It is about whether the people can keep their electricity on, and whether you have increased the capacity of Ghana to generate more power. It is about providing solutions to the problems of the youth. Walk around the various embassies, and you will see Ghanaians standing in the rain, seeking to get out of this country because of the heat. Of course, there are people who are going out there to to increase their capacity in the area of knowledge acquisition, who have been employed in other areas. Of course, they're exporting their skills and all of that. But many are leaving this country because they say that, look, things are too hard, too difficult. You have to know somebody for you to get something. talk about the military, talk about the police, talk about the SEPs. You have to know somebody to actually even get into these institutions. In some cases, you have to pay through your nose. The youth of this country are frustrated. So if you are seen as a fairly young leader, you should provide answers. You should provide speeches that speak to the problems of the youth. You should make concession that, look, we have tried our very best. Yet our best seems not to be enough. I was the Minister for Education. I tried my best. I brought you this far. We have made certain mistakes. But I guarantee you that as Vice President, I'll do A, B, C, and D to ensure that the promises that we are making to you are fulfilled. We have not seen that. He didn't say that. That was not what he said. The best thing that occurred to him was to compare a government that brought us independence and which was violently put down, to compare that government with a government that took over from another government that the judgment was that, oh, you didn't do well, so let's change you. What has the MPP achieved for? Of course, free SHS. We can celebrate that. But Kwame Nkrumah in the 1950s introduced that in the north of the country. And many of the great intellectuals that have emerged from the north of Ghana today, who are doing many great things in various, outside this country and in Ghana, were beneficiaries or are beneficiaries of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's free SHS in the north. So strictly speaking, the NPP can't even say that they introduced free SHS. It is absolute fallacy for anybody to stand on any platform and make that assertion. And in fact, people who were part of the consultative assembly will tell you that the inspiration to include in the Ghanaian constitution the F-cube came in from Kwame Nkrumah of old. So if you look at a visionary of that size, when you stand before the name of Kwame Nkrumah, you should know that you are standing before greatness and you should defer accordingly. But to assert without any fear of contradiction that this government, as presently constituted, on the basis of the record that they are campaigning with, performed or outperformed Kwame Nkrumah is the greatest fallacy one can ever perpetuate.
And you know what makes it worse is the second day, because you can make a mistake on a platform because you are excited. But you've had 24 hours to reflect. So if after 24 hours you come back and tell us that we are misconstruing what we all heard, and that you said that the man is more hardworking, which even necessarily cannot even be measured, and then you go on to now add insult to injury by saying that, well, when you speak the truth in Ghana, people don't like you, but when you... So you are basically saying that not only are you right, but we actually can't discern between right and wrong. So it's an insult. Yeah. So I am saying that for me, it reveals that he lives in a different reality. And the fact that nobody in MPP could, between the day he said it at the Jubilee Park and the next day, or was it the same day? I'm not even sure.
No, the next
day at Wase Kropong, nobody could have a meeting to say, bro, this thing there, don't ever repeat it in your life. And that he had the temerity to go and restate and even now say that we are the bad guys. That he's speaking the truth and we, the people criticizing him, we prefer wrong. That reveals two things. Number one, he lives in a different reality. And number two, MPP itself has a problem.
Yeah.
Because I gave you the chief analogy. The reason the chief has a council is not because the chief is a fool. But we have the wisdom to know that one man is fallible. The council, there is wisdom in the collective. Knowledge is like a baobab tree. Nunya adidoe. You get it? We all have that saying. So that council is supposed to say, bro,
you got it wrong.
That's not how you speak. And there are two issues here. There's the substance of what he said and the manner he said it. Right? So the substance was factually wrong and the manner was disrespectful. So to go to a chief and then to reiterate the point and then go ahead and tell us that we are the ones who like lies and that you are the ones speaking the truth, for me, it nails it. So just to wrap up, I seriously think that yesterday in the discussion we were saying he will not repeat that mistake because the backlash has been strong. That's what we thought.
But he's gone off on a...
So even beyond what we said yesterday, the party does not seem to have elders who can say, no, you don't do that. You know, Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, he became king. And there was a dispute between the young and the old about how he was governing. The young people said, you are the new king. Let them know that if my father did this, I'm going to do twice as much.
Scorpio.
The older people said, no, this thing you are taking over is a delicate situation. Speak to the people gently. Rehoboam chose the advice of the young people. Yeah. And the kingdom was ripped from his hand. And he had only 2 kingdoms left. So, I assess a leader by the quality of advice he gets. Or how he chooses to behave based on that advice. And the position of a running mate to a presidential candidate is a serious position. Let me go back to what I'm saying. Politics does not justify disrespect. It should not. We shouldn't create a class of values and a class of allowable conduct and put it under the rubric of, oh, it's just politics. So they go and ransack a court. Oh, it's because of politics. They go and beat up a journalist. It's because of politics. As if to mean that when you cover yourself under the cloak of politics, it absolves you of all responsibility. If politics is meant to organize and contest ideas, if it's done wrong, your governance will be bad. So and see, if your leaders have a reality that's so different from yours,
that is a problem.
That is very serious. That the world in which he lives, this government has so performed, is a world of superlatives for this government. Contrasting that to the agony and the calamitous management of the economy, it's shocking. Because at least admit that, look,
things are tough.
You get it, but the way he's talking tells you that what you are saying, that you are even struggling, he doesn't see it. Because for him to say that this is the most hard-working government or best government of all time, then that also means that this is the best time we've had. Because the logic is that the best government delivers the best times. So if this is the best government, then you are basically saying that we are living in the best times. Is that true?
No. Bernard, he is the Minister for Energy.
I want to...
The tour in his current shape.
Tema Oil
Refinery. What is it doing now? That facility is wasting away. Some visionary built it so that we will be self-sufficient in the production of fuel to power our economy. The Valco was a part of it. Now tell me, the government that built it and the government that is running it now, almost to the ground, where it is now only a receptacle, receiving fuel and storing it for some people, not refining fuel, and you are the minister of that space. Now, with the greatest respect, if you cannot celebrate the man, then don't even mention his name at all. You can put your hand on your chest and swear that you have done better than the NDC government, pound for pound. Debate that. But never should you, even in your dream, assert, without any fear of contradiction, that Kwame Nkrumah's government is subservient to you in terms of performance as an MPP. That is the fallacy on this day. It was the fallacy at the time it was conceived and said, and it is a fallacy today, and it will remain so. We should not glorify misspeaking. And you see, Bernard, Fifi Boafo is a great friend of mine. And we are contemporaries, you know. Look, yes, as a spokesperson, you speak for someone. But you see, you are also given the job of moderating the things that he has said. And you are also given the task of telling him in the face that, look, boss.
Are you sure that's part of his work?
It's part of your work as the spokesperson, because anything that is said which you have to struggle to defend You need to tell the man that, look, I cannot be doing this forever, because at the end of the day, it's also it tells
your own
you as a person.
reputation. Yeah, your own reputation.
You understand? You can disagree ideologically with Nkrumah. There's no problem with that. But when, as a spokesperson, you defend something that is obviously so wrong, patently wrong, as to cause even the lamest of people to even look at you in a certain way when you suggest that, oh, this wrong is right, then there's a problem. So with the greatest respect, Fifi, I beg you, your attempt yesterday to rationalize what has been said is problematic. You said elsewhere that, oh, there was some issue with the submission by Dr. Prempeh. I thought that was a more acceptable way of trying to whitewash what he had said.
It didn't work because the man you are speaking for
But
you see, leave Fifi Boafo out of this. Because see, Fifi Boafo went on Sunday and expressed his opinion, tried to tidy the thing up. That's not what we want. The man then went to a chief's palace and basically said that you like the lies. That's why you are criticizing him. But the people who like the truth, they know what he's saying. So let's take out Fifi Boafo. The man himself is not. That's the point. So as for spokesperson, what can you do? He didn't work.
So you need to talk to him inside. And you see, Bernard, you see, all the big politicians you hear
in Ghana, the way we choose spokespersons, which spokesperson can go and advise his boss that he should stop talking?
Why not? Why not? You should be able to tell him that, boss, this thing you have said has created problems for us.
But can't he see? Everybody is. We are in Ghana. That's what I'm saying. You see, this is the other thing I'll tell you. Who you surround yourself with as a leader determines the reality you have. You get it? So the quality of a leader is determined by the quality of the people around him. And that quality word is generic. So if the people around you have created an echo chamber, all you hear is your voice. So one of the things you do as a leader is to make sure that you have reality. Why do you think some leaders in the night, they go and sit in a taxi and drive around town? Why do you think leaders sometimes they call their watchman, they call their nurse and ask questions? They want to know what's happening on the ground. Why do you think security people go and mingle with market women? They go sometimes to schools. You see, because they know that. Why do you think they listen to our stations? They want to know what the people, they want the reality. Because a leader's first job is define the reality so we can work to change it. So if your reality is that you are the best thing since sliced bread and that those criticize you like lies, then you live in that reality and you govern like that. Because in your mind, you are the right one and we are the wrong. In your mind, you are the most efficient government and the rest of the people didn't do that well. The trouble is when people are around and people like the chiefs listen and don't say anything. That's my issue. That if you come and sit in front of me and come and justify, I said, no, bro. This one, they almost, you see, that's rather the truth. So a society that cannot say no. And that's why I'm calling MPP as a party. Are you telling me that the whole MPP, they don't know that what the guy said was wrong? And that they all, so it's only, so we are strange people. All the people who are shouting on air that what the guy said was wrong, we are strange. And the MPP there, it was okay. The manner, factually, the what and the how. You get me? So it's for me, it's a challenge for the reality of the party leadership. Is very different from your reality. Yeah. And that's a very important point, because if somebody feels and thinks that the complaints you are complaining, oh, you are NDC, oh, you are against, you are ungrateful, you don't have a sense of history, you don't know where we've come from. Those are the way they dismiss it. Oh, they say, as for this guy is NDC. As for this guy, he's young, he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know how bad it was. Oh, as for this guy, he's talking only about guy, he doesn't know how other countries are. So they use all those things to circumscribe and to, how do I put it, to illegitimize
to gaslight
your reality.
That's
the way. So it's like either you are opposition, or you are too known,
yes,
or you don't know all the facts,
or you are not part of us. Bernard, you see, and I'm going to say this. I discovered how true this is when I got involved with the national security thing. You know, it occurred to me that even when we do reports about roads, people don't see it as we are highlighting the deplorable state of the roads and the struggle. Some people don't see it as we are highlighting the struggles of everyday people, so it gets done. It's about they are making us unpopular. It's about they are painting our government black. And that has been it for a very long time. And that's why I was really upset that our MPs want to get off the traffic we endure. Because if they don't live our shared experience, there is no way they are thinking about us.
And you know, that point you make is a powerful point, because you see, yesterday someone made a point. It's not what Caleb Kuda says on About Town that determines what people know to be true. People only reinforces and echoes for the world.
But people know.
Yes, because social media is already captured. I have journalists, sitting journalists, whose job is to just film roads and put it online. But they may not have the level of courage of Caleb. So when the mindset of leadership is that you want to make us unpopular, it is your governance that makes you unpopular. It's not Caleb.
We haven't done anything.
It's not my commentary that makes you unpopular. It's what you said. You get the point. But politicians seem to think, this government particularly seems to think that, well, it's like, oh, we are highlighting their wrongs. If you want a favorable view,
do the right thing.
Do the right thing. Just why do you think it's media that is almost like some agenda? No, the greatest agenda against the government is the way they govern.
Yes.
The manner they accept criticism, the policy choices they make. The numbers don't lie. Your record as an economy. Look, this is the first time in my life that somebody has taken my money without my permission.
Chopped it.
I put money in an investment. I haven't done anything wrong. It wasn't a risk. It's not men's good. It's a proper institution. Yeah. You announce that because of that exchange, you are going to convert an initially agreed payment to me, and you are going to market without my permission. And you reduce my investment that I am using to pay school fees. And you want me to applaud you because you are helping me to fill a hole that you created. I mean, how messed up is that?
You see,
never then you turn around and say that your government is the best thing since sliced bread. You obviously live on a different planet.
Never have we ever seen and all of us, Bernard, you are older than I am. You've seen a lot more. Have we ever seen a time where pensioners have ever gone on a demonstration before? They've besieged the premises of the finance ministry to ask
rain and shine.
People who are 60 plus, people who have worked, they have burnt the midnight candle, they have stayed up, they've excelled, they've given their lives to this country, either in private practice or public service. And in their 60s, they converge on the premises of the finance ministry, including a former chief justice. No other person than a former chief justice. A number 3 or number 2? Number 4. Converging on the premises of the finance ministry to say that pay us our pensions. Why? Because a government decided to absolutely mismanage the economy. And yet, when people talk, they don't quite understand. Young people went out to protest last September. Look at the reaction the government gave them. That you are wasting your time. Do something else. They say fix the country. They say fix yourself. Blah, blah, blah. And yet, when people complain about their realities, you get the opportunity to stand in front of Ghanaians and you say this. And you say that Kwame Nkrumah Nampo. Kwame Nkrumah is no mean person. The Kwame Nkrumah that you are disrespecting, go to other countries. They have more monuments of Kwame Nkrumah than we have here in Ghana. When we speak, you say, "Oh, the government has done better, and we live like this. The government has done better than anybody, and we live like this." Where $1 is equal to 15, 16 cedis? Is that it? Is that it? Is that we've done better than anybody? Where when you work, what you earn doesn't mean anything. What you earn as a paycheck, it doesn't mean anything to you. Because we've wrecked the country. You have mismanaged everything.
Anyway, so the comments coming in 0549986996. As somebody, there's a guy who texts me every day and he ends his text messages by saying the future is pregnant. You know, it's funny, guys. Every time he texts his friends, the future is pregnant. So I don't know what he means by that, but the future is pregnant.
It will deliver.
So we will see how the future delivers. The future is pregnant. And so, from a political communication perspective as well, as you were saying, it's almost like a lot of the things Otunfo has said has been drowned.
Yeah,
I think the biggest story is the Kwame Nkrumah thing, at least within the... Look, Ghana is a big country, so it's possible people are talking about other things, and I'm sure they are. But if you look at the media, particularly electronic media, this is a big topic. And I'm not sure the people who planned this were hoping that outdoing the running mate was going to lead to a conversation about arrogance and disrespect. I felt they were hoping to have a bounce from maybe putting the man in a light that would re-energize the ticket and make it look stronger. Right? Again, I differentiate between what the base wants and what the party wants, but generally this cannot be advantageous for a political party to, because now everywhere he goes, this is what even if nobody says it, which is why yesterday he had to address it. So it's almost like it's the elephant in the room, where it's like, hey, what will you say again? And it doesn't help them. But as I said, politics is come full circle. And I think yesterday Samen said the politicians need to know that times have changed. What is acceptable in the Thatcher-Reagan years is not acceptable today. There are so many things we used to say and get away we can't do today. We have to raise the level of our politics. There must be decorum in the way we campaign, decorum and honesty and truth. Because if politics is just about lies and shouting, you cannot develop a country just like that. So it should be a bitter lesson for them, a well-deserved one. And if they are wise, they will learn from it. All politicians will learn and say, no, this is not how you talk to Ghanaians. Ghanaians are not stupid. Come and explain what you want to do to us. Admit you're wrong and tell us how you fix it. We are very, very forgiving. But if you take us for granted and you want to insult our intelligence, we'll punish you. And this is how Ghanaians are. We are not in 1996 or 2002. Okay, 2001, 2000, where because of the many years of Rawlings, there was a major upheaval and look, people say, you know what, it's enough. Now we've changed it a few times. Mills has come, Kufu has come, Mahama has come, Akufo-Addo has come. So now people have seen. So they want you to come and tell them how you will solve their problem, how you will be different. It's not even about what you will do. You see, our politicians are not listening to Ghanaians. Politicians are not, we are not waiting for a list of promises. Who has the better English or the better plan? We want to know who has the better heart, who's the better man. Who is just they always miss it. They don't listen. We are not, when you listen to people, they are not saying, come and tell us a grandiose plan and explain it eloquently with all of that. That's secondary. We want somebody we can trust, because we've lost faith in the system. So instead of going and repeating a litany of promises, somehow they don't get it. You see, and there's, we've done better than NDC, we've done. We are looking for people we can trust with the future of our country. And we cannot trust you if you will not admit our reality and you cannot be true to the facts. Because trust is earned, it's not a matter of right. Trust must be earned. So you don't say, trust me, because I say I'll do it. We look how you've done in the past. That's why people are pointing out things that have been done in the past and our reality. And your posture towards our reality will determine whether this guy gets it. We want leaders who get it. That's why they say he's out of touch. Does he get it? The British have spoken. They kicked out a government which for 14 years had various iterations of leadership, flagging the fears of the racists, voting for Brexit, and using immigration as a weapon. The left people got tired of that crap. And they said, we will change you, even though you are using all these things. You get it? But they never learn. They will all, because at the heart of it, they don't respect our feelings. They think our complaints are illegitimate because we are either too young, or we don't have a right sense of history, or we are ungrateful because you go to other countries and see how they are suffering, and therefore they are the best things. Forget it. Now the internet makes us see better leadership. We see Japan, we see other places, we know what is happening. And if you are not doing well, we can tell. Don't come and tell us that the leaders are for Napo is the people's fault. If it's the people's fault, then let the people be the president. If it's the people's fault, why are you standing for power? It's like, oh, the Ghana is the people. What people? You, the leader, is the one who's not doing the work. So can tell us that the people. If it's the people, why don't we all go and sit in the Jubilee House and rule? Why do we select a few people to represent us? So don't turn around and say Ghanaians are difficult, the Ghanaians are lazy. It's our attitude. It's all of us. It's all of us. It's all of who?
Bernard, what's interesting here is I remember prior to 2016, there was this tag that was on President Akufo-Addo, and he and his team tried so hard to work against that and give Ghanaians the impression that he was different. Now, prior to Napo's announcement, even after his announcement or prior to his outdooring, that tag came. Okay, he also came up with another tag, and people, his aides were working so hard in interviews and all that to talk about the fact that it's not what we think. He's a different man. You get to know him up close. He's great. And then on the day of his unveiling, naturally, it's for that way. But I'm also thinking on the flip side that it's good to know the people for who they are. I mean, we must not accept some things. We need to talk back to them and let them know that there is some threshold, there's some standard. Young people are looking up to them, and people are learning from them, whether we like it or not. The next generation of politicians are learning from how they talk. There's a reason why a lot of people want to be like Kufuor. There's a reason why a lot of people are following younger ones like Samia Uku. There's a reason why when you mention some names in the political circle, young people get excited because they inspire them. So the things they do, the things they say is also sowing seeds in the hearts of many young people. So when we are speaking on the radio to say that this is not acceptable, that is why we are saying so. On the flip side, I also think that it's good Ghanaians get to know who their leaders truly are, so that they make the decisions based on what they really can afford to deal with. Because it's one thing giving me a difficult economy, it's one thing creating a situation where my life is difficult, it's another thing talking to me with disrespect. That one I won't buy.
History is an interesting thing, because even though CPP is not doing well as a political party, the way people have reacted to this tells me that people appreciate our history more than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
They know, because you see, time is the ultimate test. When you list all the things everybody has done, some had more time than he did, and you can say, well, he was the first, so he had a lot of things and whatever. True, but even his worst enemies will have to agree that
he was a great man.
He had good plans for Ghana, and he did well. I had a voice clip of Kennedy Japan speaking on KSM's show, and KSM asks him, I wish I could even play the voice clip. KSM asked Kennedy Japan, is it that we've not had good leaders, or leaders who care about the people, for which reason the country is not done as well as it should? And Kennedy said, Kwame Nkrumah was different. And he said Kwame Nkrumah was 200 years ahead of his time. This is what Kennedy Japan said. I don't know when the interview was granted, but in the video, Kennedy said he was 64 years old. So it's probably fairly recent. All right. So for me, whatever people say or do, history will prove. Look at the Champon.
Fullness of time.
I mean, some people can't live with the fact that you speak well of somebody who did a coup. I am really beyond that, because the point is, you see, by their fruits you will know them, and their works live after them. So we judge you by your works. Okay, so fine, we don't support coup d'etats, but the fact is that he was in government for 6 years. When a champion is discussed these days, the discussion is very different from when it was 15 years ago. Do you understand? So my advice, do the work. If you do the work, and even if you have propaganda against you today,
in the fullness of time,
people will know.
Vindicated.
You see, time will tell, because time will test everything you do. Right? So when we discuss a champion, we're talking about his works. Fine, they may not have loved his style or whatever, he came by coup d'etat, fine. But when you now look at the things he put in place, some of them are still there today. So instead of beating your chest and saying I'm the best, make sure you are doing enough that in 50 years, when you are not here, or 100 years when you are not here, your works will still be speaking for you. That's the point. That's the point. It's very, very important that we don't let the immediacy of looking for political gain overshadow what legacy actually should be. All right? And if look, you can spin it, you can do a lot of things. But 50 years, 100 years time, people find, look, Oxford, you're Oxford. 100 years later, some people come and say, this guy,
was a racist.
The thing he did, we found additional files to prove that he was a liar.
And they pulled down your statue.
I know that nobody in history is perfect, and we should not overemphasize the evils of people who have died, because everything in its time, I know that. But time is the ultimate test of what we profess so boldly. And I always say, it's not how much you shout it, it's not how many people support it when you say it. It's time. So you can say it, I can go and shout, I am a woman. Everybody says, Aloski, you're a woman. I will make noise, I will do a press conference and say I'm a woman. Everybody say, yes, you're a woman. No, you can call me Mrs. Abele. But it does not change the fact that I'm a man. I can even decide to sponsor a graphic front page and compromise all the editors. We'll say the host of Citizen Breakfast Show, Mrs. Bernard Avle. And we'll all believe, and I can even go and do a sex change and call myself a woman. But at the core, eventually they'll say, this man was my father, this is my mother. So I'm using, it's a funny example though. But that's how the Bible says you cannot do anything against the truth. So, and we media, we have to be careful. Now, don't become tools in somebody's hand, politics, It's a difficult job. Stay on the straight and narrow.
Truth.
Call black, call white. And then when you sleep, you can sleep and dream.
Yeah.
You don't need to think about what you said yesterday, because that's what you said today too. So let's the truth is not relative. Truth is truth.
The truth.
It's not like, it's my truth, your truth, our truth. No. Let's not go there. So please, let's be true to the facts, and let's stop this attempted spin. Who help us? Let's stop the attempted spin. Okay, Caleb, you have a lot of comments. I don't know whether Nathan.
Yeah. Let me help you.
Who wants to take a pop?
Me.
Say me.
This one says, is there any government that's ever giving a haircut to its citizens before going to the IMF? Great question. Haircut and then IMF. Wow. I tell you. This one says, the PRO for Dr. Prempeh is infuriating us the more. Ghanaians now are not the Ghanaians these politicians knew some years ago. In fact, let him know that his struggling attempts at damage control didn't work. He's rather annoying us. And this course called PRO must be expunged.
Dennis Bo.
In our schools. Dennis Carly from he says that. This is, I've come to realize something after a long time of observation, that the worst job is to be a spokesperson for public offices and government institutions. You are sitting somewhere, minding your business, and then suddenly you will be called to defend the indefensible. There are times even the spokesperson should be advised to say no comment if they cannot admit or confirm truth, or else they themselves lose the very currency of their job, i.e. credibility. Raymond Giddy from Tema says, we are patiently waiting for the 7th of December to show Napo and the MPP where the power lies. Marquez says, it's quite annoying when Napo released what Napo really said, and he has no shame. Just listen or look at how he was busting with his lies. Antiquity let antiquity down. Marquez sends that. This was why in sad times indeed, the choice of Napo is to tell us that politicians are just interested in winning power. And the MPP thinks no matter what, insofar as they have an Ashanti as their running mate, the Ashantis will vote for them. So where are the men? Justice in Konongo is asking.